Margaret Strout, and we're going to be cooking for your health. We're going to use a number of WIC foods that will turn out to be simple, delicious meals for you and your family. The first one we're going to make is, it's fun. It's an easy recipe. It's great for a cold night. It's great for, when you're kind of stressed. You take 1 cup of rice. Now, when you're making brown rice, you want to use 1.5 times as much water as you normally do. So I'm putting 1 cup of rice in. I am putting, instead of 4 cups or 2 cups of water, I'm going to add 3 cups of water. So I'm just going to pour in. I'm going to kind of eye it. Yep. Now, in this, to add just a little more flavor, I'm putting a chopped onion. If you want to, you can saute this beforehand in a little bit of butter. I like butter for this kind of thing rather than oil, simply because it adds a little more flavor. And I'm putting in a chopped up green pepper. Now, these are all WIC foods. I'm going to cook this on the stove till the rice is done, and then we're going to add some cheese and serve it with carrots. All WIC foods. And it's easy. It's good for a really cold night when you want something a little flavorful. But again, you're tired and you don't have a lot of time. Okay, I'm going to go put this on the stove with a lid on. It will take about ½ hour to 45 minutes to cook. And then we'll be back in a minute to do another recipe. And I'll finish the rice part, or the cheese part, when we get back.
I like coming to the Swananoa Library because it has helped me through the years.
Every day that I come, it's like Christmas. I can come in, pick out books, take them home.
The people that work here are very helpful and very nice, and it's a nice setting inside and outside.
They have the grooving on Grovemont, which is really exciting because you have a lot of people that you know and you see kids running around, and I got to see the Firecracker Jazz Band for free, and they're just an incredible band.
I like coming to this Swananoa Library because I found one of my favorite books and I'm almost done reading it.
I like coming to the Swananoa Library because they have a good stockage of large print books, which I need when I read. And I've found a number of books here that I've been looking for quite a while, and they weren't in other libraries, but I found them here.
Coming to the Swananoa Library is terrific because Carla's got the whole place memorized and it's a huge help.
I have a granddaughter and I encourage her to read, and bringing her to the library does that, and I'm thankful that we do have a library here in Swananoa.
Now we're going to do a brown rice pilaf. And again, this is all WIC foods, well, almost all WIC foods. And the brown rice is a food that I have found a lot of people aren't sure how to make because it's a little bit, because of the bran, it's a little crunchier than the white rice. So you have to add, you kind of have to be a little creative and add more moisture. This is about a tablespoon of butter. And I've made about half a recipe of this. I tried to do ½ tablespoon of butter, but I'm an eye measurer. And I've grated a small carrot. I've got this wonderful beta carotene. It adds a little sweetness. It doesn't add crunch because you're cooking it, but you're sauteing it. And here is an onion cut up, and we cut it up really quite small because we want it to cook through. Now this is a recipe that you can make in an electric skillet, or you can make it in a pan on the stove. And when you do it on the pan on the stove, sometimes you may need to add a little bit more broth to it than what I'm adding here, just because there may be a difference in the evaporation, and you kind of want to go with, you don't want burned rice. Now I'm going to saute this for just a minute, and then I'm going to add the rice to it. The reason you add the rice is it cooks it just a tad, and it kind of brings out the nuttiness of the grain. So I'm going to sprinkle the rice on here. There we go. And we're going to cook this till the rice, kind of cooks through. We don't want to brown it, especially not the rice. If you brown the rice, then it's not good. But you're going to smell kind of a nutty smell come out, and that's when a grain is cooked. A lot of cultures cook their rice before, they fry it or they cook it in a little bit of oil before they really cook it. As soon as the rice is done, we're going to add some chicken broth, and I want to talk just a little bit about chicken broth. Now, you can make your own chicken broth, or I make my own, simply because I find I'd like to know what's in my chicken broth. And you can kind of use, if you want to bake a chicken or a turkey or whatever. And I also, from time to time, will buy a rotisserie chicken for dinner. It's one of those, you're tired, you're hungry, you don't feel like cooking. Buy a rotisserie chicken, and we save the carcass after we've eaten as much of the meat off as we want. I freeze them. And then about, 2 or 3 times a year, excuse me, I get out my big stock pot, and there's suicidal rice kernels. And I cook the chicken for a day on low on the stove, or I put it in the crock pot, and then I freeze the chicken broth. It's really good. It's handy. It's inexpensive. You've bought the dinner. Or you can buy your own chicken and make your own chicken soup, and then you can pick the meat off the bones. I tend not to do that with this. Now, if you can see, this is kind of the onions are getting translucent. The rice is kind of popping a little, and they kind of change color. I'm going to add my chicken broth. Excuse me. Oh, I just love that sound. And we're going to cook this for a little bit in this pan. And then we're going to add a ton of spinach. Now, the kids all know spinach makes muscles. It has a lot of iron. It has a lot of beta-carotene. It's yummy. And again, everything but the butter and the chicken broth are WIC foods. And the chicken broth is something that you can make yourself. So we'll be back in a minute. Ooh, I'm getting a steam. We'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to start another recipe while this cooks, and then we'll add the spinach. See you in just a little bit.
I'm Sheriff Van Duncan of Buncombe County.
And I'm Chief William Anderson of the Asheville Police Department. Do you know the first 24 hours are critical when your pet goes missing?
If you haven't seen your pet in 24 hours, act now by notifying the Buncombe County Animal Shelter and all other surrounding shelters.
Search the area you last saw your pet and alert friends, neighbors, local businesses, and veterinarians.
By acting now, your pet will be home much sooner.
Report your lost pet to 828-250-6430.
Now I'm going to make my famous Dizzy chicken soup. Now I have to tell you the reason that we call it Dizzy chicken soup is I do it with the rotisserie chickens and make the broth. And a friend of mine came over one day and she said, "Oh, so it's Dizzy chicken soup," because they're dizzy. And it's a fun name. The kids like it. Okay, again, this is very simple. It's chicken broth. This time I did add an ingredient that I haven't added in the past, but as I was looking through my freezer, some of you have seen my crock pot turkey recipe, and I saved the vegetables from that, froze them. So I added that in. So I have the herbs and the salt and the seasoning and the vegetables. So waste not, want not is the old saying. I'm going to put probably half, 3/4 of a cup of rice in. And again, the brown rice is harder to cook, and the more moisture you add to it, the better off you are. And it kind of, as you're cooking it, if you cook it a long time, it kind of becomes a butterfly because it opens and it splits, so it looks kind of like a butterfly. So you may want to call this Dizzy Chicken and Butterfly Soup, but you know, anything to get kids to eat and to have fun. Food should be fun. And then I have just frozen mixed vegetables. If you want to, you can add any kind of vegetable. You know, if you don't like peas and corn, you can add just carrots and green beans. You can add butternut squash. You can add spinach if you want to, any vegetable that you want to. And again, this recipe is mostly WIC foods. And they're also foods, because they're WIC foods, they tend to be more nutrient dense. You're going to cook this on the stove until the rice is tender. I'm also going to say there are times when I know I'm a working mother. There are times it's like, what am I going to make for dinner? I have this soup, the broth, in the freezer. And I can take it out, put it in a crock pot with the mixed vegetables and the rice, go to work, come home, we have dinner. You can add some chicken to this if you want to. We've added canned chicken, we've added pieces of chicken, whatever you want to if you have some leftovers. But it's kind of nice just having it, just the broth and the vegetables. And then we tend to eat it with either grilled cheese or cheese on crackers, something like that. An easy meal. Okay, I'm going to go put this on the stove and we'll get to eat it in a little bit. We'll be right back with dessert.
The North Asheville Library, located on Merriman Avenue, is the newest building in the county library system. Originally opened in 1958, this new branch opened its doors in 2005 and is located right next to the beautiful Beaver Lake. The library not only features a large collection of books, DVDs, books on CD, and music to check out, but also everything from internet access, Wi-Fi, a reading lounge with all the latest magazines and newspapers, and a nice outside reading porch. Like all the libraries in Buncombe County, if they don't have the book you're looking for, they can special order it from any of the county libraries to their branch location for your convenience. The North Asheville Library also features a great children's section with a comfortable place for families to lounge around and read with their children. It also features a child's computer filled with educational programs for preteen children. If your child loves stories, they also hold 3 story times every week. There is a Mother Goose time for infants aged 3 months to 18 months on Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m., a toddler time for children aged 18 months to 3 years on Wednesday at 10 a.m., and a preschool story time for children aged 3 to 5 on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. The hours of the North Asheville Library are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, check out buncombecounty.org/library or give them a call at 828-250-4752.
Now we're going to make dessert. And again, we're using our WIC foods. You've made rice. You have some leftover brown rice. What do you do with leftover brown rice? Well, you can make rice pudding with it. And it's kind of a pudding porridge, but it's really yummy. And I'm going to put this in. Now, I made this earlier today. It's kind of stuck together a little bit, which happens, but just mash it in there real good. And I've got about 1.5 cups of this. I'm adding my very carefully measured raisins, about 1/4 cup. About 1/4 cup of sugar. It's dessert. This is not a ton. and about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The salt makes the sugar sweeter, and that's why you put it in. And then about a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, we're also going to add 2 cups of 1% milk. And this is going to kind of make it creamy. You bake this in a 300-degree oven for 45 minutes. After 15 minutes, you want to stir it just to kind of get everything mixed up well. Excuse me. And then you are going to take it out, and I like to garnish it with a little bit of cinnamon, and I like candied ginger. I think candied ginger is fun. When I was a little kid, I didn't like candied ginger, so you may want to not do that for your kids. But cinnamon, pretty much everybody likes. So I'm going to put this in the oven, and then we're going to do some adding of spinach and cheese to different recipes and finish them off. Be right back.
I'm Sheriff Van Duncan of Buncombe County, here with Chip.
Hi, I'm Chief William Anderson of the Asheville Police Department, here with Tag. A lost pet can devastate your family. Prepare your pet before they go missing.
Microchip your pet at the Buncombe County Animal Shelter.
Make sure your pet is wearing a collar and identification with current information at all times.
Keep a current photo of your pet on hand in case your pet should go missing. Remember, proper identification is your pet's ticket home.
Okay, my rice and onions and peppers has cooked. The rice is tender. It's not overcooked. I am going to throw in the cheese. This is about a cup of cheese. You may use low fat or regular cheese. I like a sharp cheddar in this because it kind of, I don't know, the rice mellows it. And we want to stir this up till the cheese melts really well. And this recipe is all WIC foods. And again, it's inexpensive. It's a vegetarian, it's a whole protein. It's easy. And as I said, it's really good on a chilly night. There we go. Oh, and kids like this. It's a simple recipe that, you know, you can make for 1, you can make for 20. Oopsie. And then you just kind of put some carrots with it, maybe a raw pepper or 2. And I like the regular carrots. You could use baby carrots if you want to, but I kind of like regular carrots. They're less expensive and they have just as many nutrients and, you know, they're kind of logs. Now I'm going to add the spinach to the pilaf. And this is 2 pounds of spinach. And it looks like, oh, land sakes, we've got a ton in here. But spinach is one of those wonderful foods that cooks down wonderfully. If you can get it to all go in there. You kind of have to mash it a little. Oopsie. Mash it down. And then we are going to steam the spinach. And I promise it will go down to nothing. Spinach, again, is very high in a lot of those phytochemicals. It's really good for you. And it's, you know, inexpensive. If you want to, you could use some frozen spinach in this. You just wouldn't put as much because the frozen spinach is much more compressed because it's been cooked. Okay, now when we come back, I'm going to bring our intern who helped me with all the pre-prep for this, and she and I are going to taste all these yummy delights. Be back in a minute. Now we have all the goodies. This is Rachel.
Hi.
Alrighty, what do you want to taste first?
I think I'm going to try the cheesy rice first.
Okay.
All right.
Let me know what you think.
Okay.
And it's really good with the carrots. It's a lot of different textures and flavors.
It's really good.
And I think I'm going to try some of the pilaf. It comes out really well, and that spinach melts down to nothing. But I love spinach. Really good.
Really good? All right. I'm going to try the brown rice pudding
Okay.
since I like my desserts.
I'm actually going to try some of that too because I eat Dizzy chicken soup so much. You get a piece of ginger?
That's really good.
And the ginger kind of, yeah, you either like it or you don't.
No.
I think I might just keep that for myself.
So I could eat all that.
You and I can each eat a batch. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy these simple recipes that are WIC approved and also really delicious. If you want more information, please go to the Buncombe County website and look on Cooking for Your Health for any of these recipes. Take care.